Hey everyone, I'm Tassinix, and welcome to Plotting and Scheming, covering Season 51, 5 vs. 5, Grand Arena Championship for Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, Week 2. I am here, joined by my three co-hosts, Dagger, TJ, and Sashisha. How you gentlemen doing today?
Doing well, Tess.
Fine.
Meh. Meh.
Got Dagger over there. Fine, like straight face emoji, like straight line across the face emoji.
First and left kicking my ass a little bit, but I'm fine.
All right. Well, hey, better days always around the corner. All right, guys, I know we've got a busy afternoon, all four of us, really, so let's move right into it. What worked this week? Dagger, let's jump off with you, because I know you're about all about the clean attacks, so let's hear about it.
Well, I mean, like, what doesn't Bane beat?
Ha! Ho! Ha! Ha! You right.
What doesn't Bane beat for, like, 65? Like, you're going to lose Sass, but what doesn't he beat for 65?
So good. So I mean, people will see this in your GG history if they were so inclined to check. So, I mean, what are they going to see when they see what you were conquering?
Leia, Lord Vader, Jabba, just like...
Oh, my God. Full-on Jabba team. No janky substitutions. The full primo.
Yeah.
God,
Well, that's not going to be in mine. That's going to be in Nomad, specifically. But yeah.
But that's foul. I love it. I enjoy that.
Yeah. It's absolutely disgusting how his AoE just, like, skipped two of their DIs.
I think we're all going to have some fantastic stories here about Bane, because for all the folks watching here on YouTube, this is the first week of Bane being live in Grand Arena, so it's just been carnage, but just delightful carnage.
Just I'm going to take one moment to just say this, and I remember when we were doing our in-between, and I was hypothesizing between putting offense on C and Bane based on how much damage he may need to do. And boy, I sound really fucking dumb for having that opinion, don't I?
A worthwhile thought experiment, but yes, certainly needless in reality.
I was just thinking back to that.
Your failure point in that assumption, Dagger, was assuming that CG would properly or like at least reasonably calibrate Bane. Not the case. Dude's still off the charts.
I don't think you guys understand as you're saying all this, they're listening, taking notes. Stop having so much fun. Knock it off right now. They don't like this much fun. Your fun level is tone it down about 7 notches, but really fucking fun, dude. Oh my God, Bane is amazing. Yeah, sorry. I know.
Yeah, I mean, I got. This is gonna sound so dumb, but like, I started using JML on Saw because like that's. I don't use JML for anything else. And you can 4-man Saw. Right? It's like, all right, cool.
Really, you 4-manned with JML? Because I think I've done that once this season, and I think I went in full bird.
Yeah, JKL Hoda, you can get 66.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just pointing out it's like
with an R9. Is that like with an R9 base on the other side? I'm just wondering if the thickness makes a difference.
Yeah, I assume we're talking about the full fat experience here.
Well, I'll just also mention that, man, I've been really loving Night Sisters. Just such a, if you don't have the Marinomi, consider it. 65ing like a Dash or Zori team is just, and they beat baby Qui-Gon too. Like it's just.
I have to concur. That was one of my 65s today against an efficiency player, a good one. I just went and looked at Night Sisters versus Dash, and I'm like, oh yeah, or no, full Zori. And I was like, yeah, the 65. I'll take that, and it is, and it just plays itself.
So it was R8 Saw, R8 Chirrut, R9 Baze, R7 Kara, R7 SRP. To answer your questions, Doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Afra's just a free agent now. I used it against Jabba once this week, but man, I went one round without using Afra because I was afraid of getting like a 63 or a 64. And that's just we were talking about this pre-show, but I'll just leave it at that. It's like we live in a world where Afra is not good enough. Even
can I equally say that's why I left C? I left C as a non-used character because I was afraid it was going to give me lower banners.
Wow.
So, well, I'll use your Afra, but I had to use Galactic Legend. Sat there on the sidelines watching, sadly, because he doesn't get to play in the Rule of 2. He's not cool enough for the Rule of 2.
Not using Star Killer because you're afraid you'll kill them too fast and won't be able to pull the ship down.
These are wild times. Wild times.
We did our whinging pre-show, so I'll just kind of leave it at that. But yeah, got to do a lot of fun stuff with Bane.
All right. Anything else you wanted to highlight attack-wise, Dagger?
I think the highlight on attack is similar to what TJ said, where it's highlighting what I didn't use for dumb reasons. And then, yeah, finding a pretty reasonable answer to Saw that is JML, because JML's, it's like, if Lord Vader and JMK aren't down, like, what are you using JML for that's going to get, like, that's going to feel like an okay use of it? Mm-hmm. That's going to get good banners, et cetera, et cetera. Mm-hmm. So I think that's the big linchpin for me, is finding something to use JML against. So...
I had a good one. I used a JML. I mean, I'd cover this in mine, but since you already mentioned JML here, JML Hoda 68 at a Qui-Gon for me. Didn't need him elsewhere. That was the best use of JML this season for me, anyway, banners-wise.
GG Stack beats Qui-Gon and CLS to the surprise of no one.
So, are we? So,
was it
my turn?
I was going to say, was that it, Dagger? Or you...
Yeah, sorry. I didn't want to do the task where I rattle off everything I did, so I apologize.
Okay, no, it's all right. All right. Well, TJ's chomping at the bit. He's foaming here. He's got something to say.
Because this is cool because it's not mine, which is cool. As thankfully we old guildmate for a lot of us. Jedi Junior was my third round.
JJ.
Yeah. So he did GG stop against full Saw, against my Saw team, and clocked it, telling me his words. So it's not great. It's okay. So it's not calling it great banners, but having GG beat the hell out of the stop, like the full money. We're not talking like I took in less or anything like that. This is the full with SRP. I think he says he misplayed it some, but he lost 2 characters. But being able to do a GG stop on a full Saw with the Kron right now and all the craziness, dude, that to me is a cool, like, because you're saying you're using like Afro, using JML, using all these other pieces, knowing that GG Stop is pushing up to the level of the Saw Omicron, right, or the Saw Datacron, to me, that's a money shot. That's pretty cool.
Speaking of stop, what's it going to take for me to get you to stop saying GG Stop?
Never. You can suck on my fraternal ass.
So when you see STOP, how do you say that?
Mm-hmm. It's still stop. I'm just not going to say stop.
No, it's stop.
But I'm not going to go in there. I have to apologize if I'm not going to go in there and go stamp.
It is stamp. What do you say when you see statistics? You say
I don't want to say that.
Statistics?
GG stop. Do you know what I'm talking about, Task? When I say the team, you don't. So when
I honestly, stop, if it makes you feel any better, if it makes you feel like I'm just picking a nit over nothing, I actually did have to stop and take a half second to translate. What was he saying? Stopping about with GG?
Yeah. I'm just never going to say GG stop.
When you first got GG stop, I'm like, wait, is this like full stop? That was the first thought that popped into my head.
Yes. So I'm never going to say it differently, but it's still there. So
you whatever you guys want to say, it's all love. It's all love. But
but I don't care. So
I know you don't. I
don't give a shit. So it's great because either way, it's taking out Saw. And did you know who Saw is, right? You want to say Sal?
Really?
We'll say Sal, but yeah, he's telling me that that's with the SRP, right? So to Dagger's point, one of the stronger ones is the SRP comp, and this is still taking it out. So he's taking in that GG comp, and that's he's saying it felt really good. And he doesn't even feel like he played it well, and for it to come out that way on the other side, I'm pretty sure you probably take I guess it would be the 62, right? If you played it well and everything is going to your money, but for that to happen in that level, that's pretty huge.
All right, that is hot. I mean, GG Stab versus Saw. Like, what kind of banners are you looking at for that? Something like 62?
I want to go with probably 62, right? He's saying he probably feels like he misplayed it and he lost a character or two. I could see there. That's why I asked for the video. He didn't have it, but he was able to get the summary and where he felt like there was a problem. SRP apparently did give him some trouble because he couldn't get to the timing to remove the taunt to get the turret when he needed to. But I'm sure if you went in and dissected it, it's there for you. And I'm sure you're going to get a 62 out of it. But that's cool.
That
right?
is, yeah.
So that's where it's like, oh, all right, well, if you're cool with it, I get to share that. So it's in the GG history, but yeah, that's pretty money. Everything else, I sent the video and got to show it on Tasha stream. Bane taking out a Darth Vader, Lord Vader comp, and that was so much fun. You can't blink. And the good thing is you couldn't hear my video because it was literally cackling as I was just dying as all of a sudden they were there. They weren't. It was just...
There was destruction, yes. I showed it on
quick note
stream
that.
last
Yeah.
stream.
Yeah, really quick note on that. When I did my Darth Bane versus Lord Vader, thank God I was R9 in bulk mods because that Maul took me into like pretty deep into the yellow. Like I was at like 30% health.
I think that's the first I've heard of a Maul of a Bane in the yellow. I don't think I've ever seen that, so that is actually
Yeah.
really good to know.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying that if I was modded, if I was like, let's just say for sake of this argument, I was R8 in offense mods, might have died.
Yeah.
I could act. What's
Might have
funny
died.
enough is that's so good to know, but you can still. I think what the cool thing is from everybody, what I'm seeing is you get pretty loose with your modding. I don't disagree with Dagger, but the whole point is like we're gonna go this way. It's like it just doesn't matter, man. The kit
For
and the
record,
build.
This is Baby Yoda. So this is like full chromium modding too. Like we're talking like 135 or 140 prot with like 10k offense. Like
There's
this is
just-
one of those where you're gonna see like 10 total mauls like this in the game. So I'll
Okay.
really admit, like
It's just wild.
Sasha and Taz fight shit like this all the time, so it's more of a warning to them.
Fair enough.
fine.
What else you got, TJ? Anything else?
Other fun things, we did it together. We tried this out, and I wanted to play with it. Did get to do a Bigs comp, so we had a Maul comp in the back, and I got to show the full effect of we just looped the hell out of a team. So they put Maul with some Mando stuff in the back, and Maul did do something or other, I guess, and then just never took another turn. They were just done. So I thought that was pretty fun and worth noting. But other than that, man, there's really not a lot going on that's like, ooh. So that's why I was so excited for this GG setup, just because that's super cool. But other than that, everything else is, I mean...
Overkill.jpg.
Yeah, it's just, yeah, I got more 65s than you. This woohoo.
Okay.
I will say one thing that was interesting this week, not to deviate a little bit, but it was interesting this week to see, now that we had a second week against some of these teams this season, to see if and where I could shave a character in a fight.
Yeah, I had fun with that too in my round 3. I'll cover that. Yeah. So many. I mean, I think we've all got some really good lessons learned. I know we didn't really discuss that prior to going live here, but intuitively, I think we've all got some really interesting lessons going into week 3 concerning how we're looking at our efficiency play. If you're good, TJ, Sasha, let's hear what the goods are.
Oh, yeah.
What worked on attack?
Yeah, I mean, I guess in a word, offense. I mean, like it's just consistently across the board. I had a good week. While I'm not loving the meta, I went 3-0, and some really good competition. But I mean, in short, most everything seemed to work. There are a few things I'd call out. Like one, a little old school, but was just fun. I had 2 opponents set like an old school CLS on me. And it was just fun to use Phoenix with Krex. It's really very efficient, particularly with the set 13 protection up Datacrons. Like you're never at risk. Like with sufficient relics on your Phoenix, you're not at risk at all of losing anybody, and you've got so much regen that it was a 65. And when you think about the context of the new meta, maybe that means it's like a borderline counter because you have to really test out and see if it works under man. But so that was nice. A couple of other like just at least somewhat interesting counters. Like I ran into the new droid. I don't have the new droid, but I ran into it on opposing Grievous's teams and. In this meta, I found it's pretty effective in that it was causing some Bane or bleed, but Tuskens worked for me against it, and that was nice to have because it was cheap and it did allow me to underman some other stuff. And then I guess the last thing I'd call out was I liked the Bamcron on offense. I used it against Tuskens. I can't recall where else I used it, but I think primarily Tuskens, as long as it's combined with IG-11 and Queel, and that IG-11 Dispel is so nice.
Was it just the 3, or did you take in enough, a couple more scoundrels for the?
Yeah, no,
I
not totally finely tuned. It was 5. I took 5 in, and what I generally would do. So it's the Mandalorian Kron with the dealing % of health damage on debuff, and I would bring. L3, who I'd like to have actually, because the Tuskens potentially go several times, and you're running some nice Tusken Datacrons with relatively high armor pen, and they can bang up a squad. You might lose a member, or you prematurely have your BAMs birds triggered. And so I had brought L3, and L3 sort of both dispels, but also is just pretty thick. And then my fifth was Nest. I like Nest for that. Just Nest does pretty well against dots and other stuff, and has an AOE that adds his own debuffs. So that was the 5 I used, and it was, I want to say, I maybe used it 3 times at like a 65, 65, and a 63. So I liked those attacks, but basically everything else worked.
So if you have to do this here next week, do you think you can shave a character for the 66, or do you think you really need all 5 to have your bases covered?
I think you could go without Nest. So I think you really could, because your IG-11 is like almost certainly going to get, as long as you've got turn order clocked appropriately, IG-11 should go right after BAM, and if that's the case, you're getting close to 20 birds, and even if it's a little under 20. My sequence, at least in targeting, so kill order, is I do start with the opposing warrior. I know some people will start with chieftain, but I start with warrior and then kind of figure it out from there. And if I don't clear, like I'd say in the last one, because I brought the 5/8 up to 20 birds, everything was really jacked up. It killed 4 of the 5 Tuskens when the birds went off. Even if it only kills 2 of them, as long as it's often like warrior plus the original raider, it takes a little bit, but you're okay, and it even and many times will give you a chance to regain banners if you were a little low. So I bet you're okay with 4.
Okay, yeah, that's a good thought, because I didn't do much with BAM this week, and it was mostly because it's like, man, if I don't get at least 65, this ain't even worth messing with. So appreciate you indulging me there.
You got it.
Anything else you wanted to highlight?
No, we'll come back to. I mean, again, it's also relative, dude. That when we talk about what didn't work, it's going to be like 61s. So
what let us down, indeed. Yeah, in the relative sense. Yeah. I hear you.
Yeah.
All right.
So what about you, Tass? What worked for you?
Yeah, so myself, trying to see if something wasn't any of the unusual suspects here. Yeah, literally trying to see if anything was off the beaten path. Not in the first round of the week. Lord Vader, Maul, Thrawn, Royal DV, I took out with BKM, Paz, Grogu, and Bo, just the 4 of them. That was a 64, so we lost a protection banner, but still, 64 was the best, definitely better than 63. Let's see. Anything else? I've had a couple bad seasons where Traya getting popped by Tuskens, but Traya, Nihilus, Savage, Scion, 66th. A Tusken team. Also, that team, a lot of people are saving something to dumpster. People still keep setting full gas 501st with a set 13 cron. So they just roll out the red carpet for you boy to use Gar ISC for 67. I already mentioned the JML Hoda for 68 on Qui-Gon. Malgus DR BSF Malik Sith Marauder still falls to C set. So I was able to have, your Trench Watt team, Sasha, on defense, plus Bane Sass for 1 counter. I think I took out a Reva with that. And then C set to take out Malgus. So just a delicious division of resources. Anything else that really checks out? Seer Malicos on defense or on offense is not really missing Cal. I'll tell you that. If you want to have your Cal full timing it this season with Rey to hedge against Starkiller in particular, or just trying to impede any of the other counters, Cal fits right in there, and you don't miss him. You can throw in Kylo. I got a hold with OG Kylo in there instead. This is still running armor penetration, by the way, because I still have. It's 68% armor penetration on the Kron, dark side stacking offense. So even though I would have 3 characters to get value from for doubt on that, The armor penetration with my new Relic 9 Fulcrum having like 12.3k offense and over 100% crit chance with a crit damage triangle. Like between her and Malikos, I don't know what caused my opponent to back out only a few seconds into the fight, but I'm guessing it's one or both of those two. And yeah, they weren't missing Cal, so that was really nice to see. Is there anything else? TJ had me using Iden here against CLS, you know, all good times, 65. I know we all have our own ways of dealing with the odd CLS out there. But yeah, I think everything else was conventional. Oh, just a note on using JMK versus Jabba. I fretted a little bit about which tank to use because I had GK and Mace both on defense for every round of this week. And, you know, Plo was just fine. Plo was excellent. 64 banners for that fight. So, I mean, no complaints. All right. Enough for me on that. Let's circle back around here to Dagger for segment 2. What didn't work? This can be, if it happened, you know, drops still happen. Shameful, very shameful, though they may be in this current meta. But if not a drop, you can just cover any attacks you think underperformed it. What, you know, you were counting on a 65 and it delivered you a 63, 62. What you got there?
Yeah, Afra, Star Killer, both underperformed all week.
I have a very
not
similar
winning the
opinion.
fight, but just I got a 59 with Star Killer, and I got a back-to-back 62s with Afra.
Whoa! Versus what? What were you going? What were you going after with the got you the 59 with Star Killer? Damn.
Oh, Qui-Gon.
Mm-hmm.
I just killed them too fast.
Yeah,
I
believe it.
Like, I know this sounds like a weird complaint, but I was at like 80 stacks when they were all dead, and I'm just like trying to not kill them using EP's third, using Merit. You know what I mean? A lot of these powerful teams. JML is another one that has been underperforming historically for me that I finally found a use for this week. I had one drop, and it was on Fleet all week. So. But that's Empire, and sometimes shit just goes wrong.
Okay. Yep. I've definitely had a couple rough clears. I didn't have any drops on Fleet, but I had some definite tough RNG where we're talking like I one-shot the fight for 67. So that's not great.
Yeah. So it's mostly just like low banner wins when I'm just like... Because I've been going first because I've been doing my fights at night. So I've been going before my opponent. So like the tension is just there. So when you get like that 62, you just like
grind your teeth.
You know what I mean? There's like, yeah. You don't know if it's going to be enough because, like I said, I ended up winning one. My lowest score, I think I said this before. My lowest score on the ground was a 64. My lowest Fleet was a 73, and I won by 4.
Yeah, that is too stressful to be real. All right. Anything else let you down?
No.
All right, TJ, let's hear it. What sunk your battleship?
Just round 1. I think you saw some of it. Some of it was a hard lesson just because I didn't pay attention to the Datacron. And then on one of them, JML on the Afra, we'll call it to misuse of playing the fight, which I'm okay with. That had the Krex on the team, and I just took out the wrong person where I needed to, so that JML failed. Star Killer on gas. Deflection, man. It was only remember seeing that? That's why I was tripping out. It was like full 501st. It was 30% deflection, but my God, it felt like 100%. I couldn't do or land anything the entire fight. It felt like it was like, are they sure this isn't bugged for the way it felt? So it's like to where the next time I did gas 501st against Star Killer, I was checking and taking special accuracy that went over that, so that was out the window to not let that happen again. But yeah, Star Killer on that, and then Afra on what did I do? TAS again. Afra on Bow. I was trying. They have Bow in the back, so lifestyle rules have Bow in the back, and we were going to take the odds of. Well, I mean, there's a chance if it doesn't go, and of course, my RNG that round was horrid. So as it comes with it, they went after one target, then Bo went after the Afra, so that was out the window. Other than that, man, those are my only highlights. Everything else, I said, forget this. And as I sent to TAS and another team, I did the Joker meme for Batman. You created me, so I went and played the game they wanted to play, and that was it from there. Both round 2 and round 3, I out-efficiency the people, which is weird for me to say. But But yeah, those holds were hard feeling, which created the monster that became the efficient guy. So
Good stuff. Yeah, I look forward to your lessons from that. Sasha, how about you? What left you for dead?
So I'm just double checking. I don't think I had a drop all week.
All right. Screw you, but
checking.
also all right.
Yeah, and I honestly I tried to set really solid Ds. This is a testament much more to the meta than to my offensive aptitude here. But the stuff that screwed with me, like actually, there were a couple of things that I thought were really interesting that that almost got me, or at least caused some bleed. So one was a Saw squad that like. I like using Afra, as so many do, against Saw. It had a Datacron on it with like 60-something% deflection.
Yeah, boy.
And totally, yeah, that was rough. I mean, I was fortunate at least to like not be totally brain dead in the fight and sort of realizing, gosh, the word deflect is flashing on my screen a lot. Like, what's this about?
Yeah.
And then realizing, holy crap, I've got to change how I play this, who I can assume can make the kill, and I need to move very quickly. And it still did. I lost, I want to say I was fortunate somewhat with the opposing team's targeting, because I think I lost droids 3 different times at least. And I think I maybe got like a 61 or 62 on 61, I think would be my guess on that. And so it just kudos to, I think that was old Ben that had said it. And it was really, it was my opponent that had said it. It was a clever move on that front. Then there was another one that I think it might have been in my opening round against Eno, that it was an almost timeout on a very, like a squad that I just didn't expect much out of. And it was actually a Keller and Beck squad. So it was Keller and Beck with GK, JKA, Cam, and Barris. Mm-hmm. And it was lower front wall. So I'm like, okay, well, this is great if I can do it cheap. And I assume I can. How can I do that banner efficiently cheap? And it was the defensive datacron that they'd set with it was the Season 13 light side with protection up. And I figured, I can just do good old-fashioned, like, Bosk bounty hunters with Mando, and I'll snipe people out, but, like, I'll work my way through it. They were really thick. I mean, they were high relic, but also having Barris there. And their survivability that, comes with, I think a few things there, including Keller and Beck. And I think it was like within the last 10 seconds that I finally got GK down, just because I think I had to snipe 4 of the 5.
Oh my God.
I had it on auto, I would say, just so I could cycle through, because, there's a lot of health there. Plus, because they're thick enough, they were triggering each of those thresholds on the protection up. I wasn't skipping any of them, so I'd have to go to 50% protection up against every one of the characters. And so that was tight from a timing perspective, because of all the stuff we're saying. If you time out on something in this meta, you're in some real trouble. And then see, anything else that I'd say would jump out, like not really, to be honest, man. I those are probably the 2 on defense. There's more that we can kind of dig into as we look forward to next week, but there's not a lot that like flat didn't work.
Can I add one thing to your point on the Beck thing? So on my first round, I got the bug that everybody talks about. I think Task got to watch it.
Yeah.
No, I killed him. It took 5 snipes, and I'm not kidding when I say 5 on Beck. I had to snipe him. And then on the fifth one, he finally actually stayed dead. So I actually had that included in my round, but it was a pain in the ass team because it had GMY and other things. I just laughed at it because you talked about the Beck, but I got the other side of it where everything was going fine, and I kept sniping the people, but I had to snipe him 5 times before he actually went away.
Wow. Man. All right. Well, thank you for that, Sasha. Those are good notes. I mean, I know it's tight. We're all planning to be careful on attack, so I know that the failures are pretty nuanced, especially when you had a clean sweep of a week. So fair. Myself, my rounds 2 and 3 were super clean. Everything went to script, so not a lot to mention there, failure wise or even low banner wise, with the sole exception of dealing with Saw. Afra and Jabba I took against Saws this week, where deflection wasn't even really the issue. What it was is that the fight went long enough for the fire to go, and it happened. I think in both fights where it was like literally one more turn from anyone on my team, one turn earlier, and we wouldn't have had the fire, and the fight would have been like 62-63. But then the fire goes off, and now you're looking at something like a 57. So just, and I know TJ was there last night when I was doing the Jabba versus Saw. We went in with a 4-man, and with the 4-man, no, we did go in full board. Never mind. We did go in full 5-man, and it was a 63 because of that robbery with the banners at the end. Should have been a 65. And so a 63 is basically like the same outcome you'd be looking at if things go well with Afra, but I have had Afra go as low as 57 this week, so worth covering. My round 1 had a couple painful lessons. Against Savage, Sass, Nihilus, Treya, and Talon, I saw that people were having success in week 1 doing Slacker solo. I also saw, with a little less representation, Slacker Watt was also 100%. And so I was thinking, you know what? I won't be so cocky as to use Slacker solo. I'll cover my bases. Go on in with Watt. Slacker Watt. Nah, son. Nah, that didn't work at all. Between the turn meter gain from that, that Savage is pushing out, plus 2 different ways to push back my cooldowns, my number of specials were limited, and I was not able to actually get to even the first tier of Slacker's ultimate charge in that scenario before they closed him out. So had I brought even Faust, there would have been a very strong chance that I could have closed out the fight. I ended up having to use my own, Treya team to mirror that out and close it. Against a Trench Watt team of my own. So I saw people were pulling it off last week. Full Night Sisters, right? And you can intuitively kind of see how the fight would work. You're able to kind of manhandle the whole thing. You just need one particular event to not happen. You need...
Damn you, Django.
You need Django to not receive tank tech, because then you can't control him. And then you have things like him rocketing, and I know. You could have something like rocket hit Mother Talzin, like what he aimed at, and then have the other rocket fork off to literally any of the other 4 characters. But guess what, folks at home? That ain't how it broke down. Both rockets went to Mother Talzin. So that was not great. And then seconds later in the fight, a good double tap from Django closed out Asajj. We were able to kill everyone but Dooku with just the 3 remaining. So that was pretty cool, all things considered. Used Wampa to clean up the lone Dooku. And then, this was a great lesson, Dash, Vandor, Queel, IG-11, and Bam. Saw people were doing it with Hera Krex, and wouldn't you know it, I had Krex available for the first round, along with the full Phoenix. So we were doing just fine with the fight. But if you went back and saw the VOD, there's a part where Dash's debuffs, his buffs and debuffs, he's in front of IG-11, who's in the back, and his buffs and debuffs partially obscured the turn meter bar on IG-11, so it evaded the corner of my eye. IG-11 had stagger on him. I could have hit him at any time, reset his turn meter, and perpetuated the lockdown on their team, because we were working through Vandor just fine. But I didn't, I let that IG-11 turn meter escape the corner of my eye. He was able to go, he cleansed everybody, Queel pushed them all up, and then Bam with the band crown sitting over there in the corner is like, I have 20 birds. So, yeah, that didn't work. We withdrew, went back in with Finn Zori. Dig this. Finn Zori is so rare for me to not have on defense, but I decided to mix it up this first round. Just went right on in, and I did withdraw, so it wasn't preloaded, but went right on in with full Finn Zori 45 banners. Would have been a 65 first time. So that was great to see. Aside from that, yeah, everything worked out. I discussed the unlucky RNG on Chimera that resulted in a couple sub 70 clears, but that has been the case all 3 rounds this week. Chimera versus Leviathan, 69, 67, 67. I've had 70s and 72s in weeks prior. Not this time. All right. Segment 3, my personal favorite, of course. Standout defenses. Who held the line for you? Who overperformed? You know, I know it's tough to get holds in this meta, so if you feel like, you know, if something stripped more banners than you were expecting, shout it out. It can be a 50-something, you know? It doesn't have to be a hold, but hey, cite any holds. Let's go on back to you, Dagger. Who wiped out on your brightest and best?
Well, I only really had one hold this week.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there were more holds after that, but I talked with my opponent, and he lost to my seer and then just started tackling shit in front of Fleet because he had already lost. But that's just the world we live in. I went first, he dropped, he lost.
Yep.
So only one thing really, air quotes, held all week. It was seer in the back. And like you said, I still have Cal there because Cal really makes a couple of the non-Trey counters a little annoying. Malgus specifically is what he lost with.
Ooh, wow. Wow, because that's been really easy for me. I've been surprised how smooth that's felt.
Yeah, timed out specifically. Yeah, Cal being there really puts a little bit of a wrench in there. And then apparently my rocks killed DR and BSF off the rip, so then he just tried to 3-man it.
Oh, yeah, no mercy there.
Yeah, well, we talked about that, the dark side stacking offense rocks.
That's right. Get rocked.
Pad yeah. But that was the only real hold I got all week.
Right,
so
good Seer Malicos. Very good.
Yeah.
All right, TJ, how about you? Who held the line?
Oh, Levi, 3 for 3 on fleets. Everybody dropped this week on my Levi. And our guildmate dropped on Malevolence. So Ships was just a moneymaker for me on what it would have been. Round 2, Tuscans actually held. Against what? I don't know. Well, we'll look to see. But yeah, I got a hold with Tuscans. And round 3, Jedi told me my BKM held. And it timed out Jabba. Apparently what happened is he got timed out on OG Bow. So if I had to guess happened is that, because I had Bam on the team, Bam put the heal on BKM, and because you're just getting that infinite loop, he got stuck and wasn't able to hit BKM. So he timed out with an OG Bow left alive. I will take whatever it is, but that was very interesting to note that Jabba got timed out on BKM. Be it
That
for
is
whatever
interesting.
reason.
But I think, now correct me if I'm wrong here, I think if you have like OG Bow on the team, the only scoundrel allies that can trigger Wonder of the Force would be Grogu and OG Bow, right?
Right. Yeah, and OG Bow is the one who died, or is the one who left alive.
Right.
OG,
okay. I thought you said, maybe I misheard you. I thought I heard you say like...
That's what I had to look. No, OG Bow is what he told me. He timed out on that.
Okay, yeah. No, I believe that.
And so that's, I mean, to me, that's amazing that BKM was able to hold off the Jabba, because the Jabba is the 100%er when you're looking at it. I mean, that's what I used on his, but his didn't have BAM. His had armor.
Maybe one of you guys can help me fill in the blank here. A partial shout out to one of my patrons here, Renee. He told me that if you don't have BAM on your Bo-Katan team, you're opening yourself up to some easy counter. I can't remember which one.
You are, and that's also too.
Which one is it though?
Dagger talked about it, and there's an easy counter that comes up that you can just basically take a Han team. I'm not going to say specifically which Han.
Just straight up new blitz it down with CLS. Yeah,
you're done. So Dagger was actually the first one to bring that up a while ago. I think Dagger, we were talking about it pre-post 1-1, or like going into 5, we had our little discussion internally about it, about a couple of teams that envy that bring on Han that will basically lock that team down, and you're just going to win. And we tried it. You watched me do it, Tass, with Leia. So I stepped it up with 1, but it took Leia. because it was talking about that whole whatever, and it was super easy and clean because you just literally just lock down with Han and then just keep them locked down, and they
Just
never
blitz
go.
them in. Yeah, I remember asking about that yesterday. Yeah,
and
just
that
all
was
in.
taking the idea from the easy one with the no arm, no bam, and then adding it in on the Leia, which I should have done in the first place. But again, but yeah, Han will basically nuke that team down, and then they just stay held down for their no ending. So you really need to have the bam. But either way, those are the holders, which was nice. But yeah, 3 for 3 on Levi. Yeah, 3 for 3 on ships for the equalizer was pretty nice.
No, that's a good one for the folks at home. If you're really wanting to set BKM on defense, don't set the cheap seats. Put Bam down with it.
I put Bam down for Dagger's response because of that. So that's to give the point of relevance to it. It was Dagger's point that brought it up and how easy it was, and we talked through it. And I was like, yeah, that all tracks, which is why I did the Bam. I feel like you need, if you're going to put it down, because additionally, BKM is really a good banner stealer, and you really don't get good banners with BKM on offense, in my opinion. Even if you're dropping 1 or 2 in this meta, as we've talked about, it's just not worth it when it'll steal something from somebody, which is good.
I think that's a fair argument. All right. How about you, Sasha? Let's hear about your standouts.
Yeah, well, consistent with the last point that TJ made, I set BKM every match. I got 1 hold from BKM. And in part, to be honest, the way I looked at, I didn't have a lot of time to really evolve my defensive strategy over the last couple of matches because I was traveling. But when I took a minute to think about it, I'm like, all right, what can I throw back here? Like, what's the best thing that I can throw back here? Period. Like, almost irregardless of what the offensive need was. And anything that didn't feel like it was almost a liability on defense, I put back there. So I had relatively strong defenses. And still, the one thing that, in talking with a couple of my opponents, that turned the tide and really won me the match in both the semi and the final for this last week was or actually no, it was in the first and the second rounds, but it was a thin Zori squad with high deflection on it, and interestingly enough,
told you.
I said it myself. You didn't have to twist my arm about it. Yeah,
no, I know. It's funny now. You just
we did discuss exactly that, and we hemmed and hawed about the best application of my 69% deflection cron, and I ended up putting it on Finn. So please carry on.
Yeah, no, I mean, in one case, it ended up, the opponent didn't realize it was there, and I think used, I think it was EP Star Killer, and whiffed just for long enough for that, really brutal turn meter train of the Resistance heroes to tear through the opponent. So they got a drop there. And in the other round, it was it's like the rock, and then this was the hard place. They recognized the deflection risk and overinvested with a GL that they were otherwise going to need in the back zone. And it just had the ripple effect of, they got a clean, probably a 66 or something on my Resistance Finn squad. And I wouldn't have thought anything. I'm like, oh, well, that squad sucked. But no, the reality is it's just depleted counter options for the back wall, and then the opponent had some real challenges with the back wall. So that was just the turning point in 2 of my 3 matches this week. And the way in this day and age, there are a ton of options and stuff, but you still can run into if you run low on counters, there can just be that kind of revolve in there, that domino effect where oh crap, now I've got to overinvest on this thing, and suddenly you're either going to have to multi-shot something, which nobody wants to do in this meta, or you're taking a ton of risk across several different matches, and that happened to my opponents. Again, just based on that deflection cron with Finn.
Oh, that's a good one. All right, any others you wanted to highlight there?
I guess the only other one that I'd add is, and I'm doing this more to keep a streak alive, but damn, I like that Trench Watt Dooku squad on defense. Here. And it can take banners, it can be a bit stressful, so I like throwing it out there with that Doubt Cron. It is the 11th out of 11 defenses that I'd said, but It doesn't feel like you're losing anything on offense. And if you put it, particularly like last round, I put it bottom front because I'm like, this opponent doesn't want to take a 61 on this or 60.
You're taking the words right out of my mouth. I can't wait till we get to the lessons learned. No, you hit it right on the head. There's a genius into heading into this next week that I really want to explore and discuss with you guys. But the trench, I'm glad you mentioned the trench because I think I forget if it was Dagger or TJ. I think it was TJ who said it to me yesterday. It's like, I mean, it's, you know, as one of your last defenses you're placing down, it's got a better than even chance to strip a couple 3 banners, and that is gold these days. So that's fine.
It was me. That's what I said. And for everybody else to understand, Tass wasn't arguing with me on the point of deflection. It just, we had a candid conversation about where to place things, and that people get into these tendencies of wanting to use these special damage teams being Afro or being Star Killer, and where do they use them? 9 times out of 10, you're using on gas. That cost me on my round. So that, I just had to bring it up. That Tass I wasn't saying like that. I was just laughing that we were having this exact conversation, Sasha. Not with you there, but that's how we were carrying on about where do we place this Krun. I'm like, well, if we're looking at gas and he's gonna overkill gas, then your next one is Finzori, because Finzori, people have the tendency to want to overkill it with either Star Killer or Afra. And so when you do that, you may just go on like, I always use Afra, or always use Star Killer on this. And that's what's going to do. It's like, good. That's what you want to do. Let's play into that, because this is the team that's going to go. Like, it should work just fine. But just like you said, all it takes is not looking at that one little piece of the pie to just cost you that round. So, and then the other one is we were talking about Trench. And I'm like, no, I'm going with Sasha. Sasha's been calling this out. And then Tass and I were talking about it. It's like, does it go on and does it go into something else? It's like trench holds is one of the best things because you're giving it Watt now. And the fact that you give it Watt makes that team so much more dangerous. So it's like, nope, we'll follow the rule of Sasha. The rule of Sasha is good. It is strong. It is valid.
Right. And I was all the happier that, like I said, with Trench down on defense with Watt, I wasn't missing Watt with C. Even C, C was set. 100%. Looking for applications of C set or C solo is going to be, I think, pretty key going into next week, because we're likely to keep those resources divided.
I felt that, though. I will say I felt it to drop a couple banners because I put set on Dagger's advice because what he saw with GG. I put it with my Treya team, but I didn't have the C set to get like a 64 on the gas because I was trying something else, Star Killer one on Dash. So I had to do an LV one with that, but I'm feeling that burden, and I think it's a good lesson learned of what does C do, because Bane is so Bane. He's so much. So yeah, I just had to call it out, but nothing to call on Tasha like that. We were like it's just funny to listen to Sasha say this, and we're like reading into Sasha's mind as he's talking about this.
Oh, that's part of the glory of the planning, the scheme supreme. All right.
Yeah, that's why we're a team. Hey, one more thing, by the way, on that. At least my experience with C and set, like one good application, I'm sure tons of people already use this, but if you take a look at like the Seer Maliko squads that a lot of folks are setting, I mean, C does much better in terms of banners with set than he does with Watt there. So that's where I tend to use him, or at least in the last week or so.
Yes, and as Anna will tell you, make sure you have a set there, because he felt my pain that the ATFs we fight will delete your C. It has been done to me. It's been done to Arnold. So be careful. Make sure you have that pre-taunt. Don't play with that.
I'd love to see what my final round opponent this week did against my my Seer team, because that fight wasn't long. And let me tell you, if it was C, you remember TJ? I was hashing that out, hemming and hawing about whether or not to go armor pen or doubt with crit damage, and no regrets. So yeah, let's pivot to me here for my key defense.
Not even a debate. At this point for me, it's armor pen and stacking offense, or just don't set it.
I think so too, man. I really think so too, because I've tried it both ways, and I don't think you're gonna. I think the only reason we would argue to set doubt is like, what are you doing that's like relying on a ton of buffs and turn meter to kill Seer? Like, what is that? I don't even know what that is. So the armor penetration is just a better threat profile. I fully agree.
Yeah, right now it's like C, Treya, and Malgus, right? Those are the three biggest.
Right. None of them. I mean, I guess Malgus wants to have some buffs for it so you can have some protection up and the like. But anyway,
Yeah, I mean,
for my own, well, because I know we're gonna get short on time here, guys. So I don't want to keep us too long in this section. Let me cover myself real quick so we can pivot right to the lessons learned. But as far as my standout defenses, I had that one seer holdout up top, like we were just talking about for this round here. But if you guys are looking here on Discord on screen, I'm showing you guys my fleet defense. And TJ, remember you and I talked about this at some length, and you had a very good argument. You had a great argument.
I did.
And my argument essentially boiled down to your argument's great, TJ. Like all the stats are with you. This guy in particular shows that he's gonna drop to having Dagger up front. And damn if he didn't do it twice.
Like I told you, your gut, and I'll say this to everybody, and I'll go like this. My whole argument is invalidated the minute you say my instinct and my gut tells me to do this. Then I don't care what the numbers say, and you went with your gut, and I'm just looking at it. I'm super glad you did, because I went with the strategy, and I'm like, but you kept saying my instinct or my gut is telling me that I need to set Dagger, and you're saying the numbers there.
Oh, yeah. No, there was a couple suggestions in planning this defense that were very helpful from you that I actually took, and this is the one where I was like, I hear you, but this guy is gonna drop out, and damn it, he just ate it. He just ate it. It was great.
Dude, I think that's awesome. It just goes to show why it's like I don't care what everybody's saying, but when your instincts say I have to do it this way, you go with your instinct because it's there for a reason. So that's awesome.
And then my malevolence here this round snagged a hold. So I've had some banner stripping from my opponents against my Leviathan, but not really any holds until this last round. And then malevolence also snagging me a hold. That's the Hyena, Sunfac, Vulture out front. Only Spy is the reinforcement, because if you put in Soldier, there's a better than even chance Soldier comes in first. And depending on the opponent, especially if they're using Negotiator, that can be enough to trip them up, because they're counting on Spy coming out first. They expect Spy. So when it's Soldier, now they're going to kind of have to pull their punches and change their turn order, or so they feel, and then they end up getting caught out. That can be good, but my instinct, at least this week, was like, nah, just run with the Spy only. I've also done it with Vulture only. No, that is what I did this week. It looks like I set Spy only as the defense from what you see on screen here, but it was Vulture only as the reinforcement, and I stand by that. That was a good one for us this week. No other squads really held, so really I got some value off of Fleet and just that one seer hold. All right, guys, this is it. The lessons learned. We're going into week 3. This is the final hurrah for set 12. Laugh it up with your armor pen, with your scoundrel crons, your stacking offenses, your ability blocks, turn meter resets. This is it. So, Dagger, what are you taking here from week 2 into week 3? He says, with all the enthusiasm he can muster.
Oh man, like I'm going to be a little bit different in what I'm taking into week 3.
Okay.
I'm going to enjoy basically being able to do kind of whatever I want this last week, because we're losing crons, and Lord knows 3v3 is going to be upon us soon. So as much as I want to make comments about how the meta is and the efficiency and this and that, it's like, at this point, if you can 65 something on offense, you can set nothing on defense and hope it's good enough. And that's basically what every round for me is at this point. So I'm going to just enjoy this week, because 3v3 sucks. And I need to enjoy 5v5 more. So I'm going to just not... I'm going to focus on just having fun with the teams that I want to have fun with. Because, I don't do that enough.
This ray of sunshine brought to you by Dagger. So...
That was relatively positive for me, and you know it, asshole.
I know. All right, off to TJ. Your lessons learned.
Light side gave me a good ass whooping, which gave just a realization of where it's just going to be at. That, not calling it a lesser player or anything like that. It's just right now, for this week especially, it's those things like we talked about, Task. The deflection team with the people with the tendency and then putting it on the right step, just like it got Sasha for his opponent. it's those pieces. The one that's going to steal the banners, and you see that they're getting 61 or 62, you're putting those teams down. So the study is probably the most pivotal it's been for this week because now full tendencies are out there, right? We have 2 weeks worth of data. We have a full amount of information that's there. We have our crons that are going to be the creme de la creme from what they're going to be this week. It's just going to be those small tweaks to your teams and then just trying to play into people's tendencies. That's going to be the biggest, I think, winner. Because we're all going to be trying to pull 61s and 60s out of people at this point. It's just anybody at the tippy top is doing the same thing, and it's or you're a fatal, right? It's like you're doing the same thing or you're fatal.
Yeah, that's right. You can decide to Sweat Lord in the face of the rising tide. You can choose to still Sweat Lord it out.
That's it. But that's where we're at. It's those tweaks. It's like Tass has said with his one that got it, and we talked about it, and it did it. And it's just going to be Fleeter and also the Equalizer. That's what this week is to finish it off. I am envious of Dagger, and that just playing the way I want to play would be fun. But the sweat is too real, man. So I'll do what has to happen, and just remember that y'all created it, so you will deal with it.
All right. Sasha, how about you? What are the lessons heading into week 3?
Yeah, I think a few things jump out to me. One, my learnings from this week were fleets, like we touched on. Fleets really matter. Historically, I've played where I really enjoy ground. I really don't enjoy fleets. And so I'm like, I will cheese fleets and I will give up 5 to 8 banners per match on fleets with a predictably cheesy fleet board. That is not a surmountable margin of error in the current meta. So I probably have got to figure something out on that front. I say that now. I probably won't do it because I have very little energy for fleets. But the rational basis me says that. Then the other thing that jumps out to me is plotting and scheming like we do is really key, like making sure you're figuring out, okay, what are my banner bleed defenses? What do I have that's going to be high efficient? All that is really good. But I kind of feel like that for very competitive GAC in this meta, that's like table stakes. And then what takes you over the top, this is an issue for me because I don't tend to be as attentive to detail and consistent with it. But what takes you really over the top to be a great player in this meta is the tactical execution in the match. It's okay, how am I sequencing these attacks? How am I doing everything so that you're kind of timing everything out? It's not just the defenses and the larger picture strategic. It's the tactical in that battle. How do I end up with the 65? How do I make sure I'm pacing this so I get regen for stuff?
The added attention
that's
to
not
detail.
structured in mind.
Yeah.
Totally, dude. That's one where it's not my strong suit, but I realize it's a core component of the current meta. And yeah. I mean, we'll see. I faced 2 of the 3 folks that I faced this week. I was super impressed with their efficiency and a number. They got that meta. They knew exactly how to approach it. They were really clean on a lot of stuff until they had one thing that didn't go right, but everything else that went right was really efficient. And I realized unless you can get those really rare holds, super rare holds to get these days, I'm kind of outgunned against the super efficiency folks.
Okay. Great points.
How about you, Tess?
Great points. For myself, guys, so going into this week, something that I've really learned is, first of all, scouting is, how everything about me is intel based. So week 1, I'm at my weakest. Week 2, I've got something to work with and I can see something about your tendencies. Week 3, I am at the height of my power. So I will be looking meticulously at my opponents, and where you're going to make money is 2 things. 1, observe their trends of attack. People, because of the consequence of failure being so great in this meta, you can rely on your opponents to stick to the script. Whatever it is that they like to do. For the couple 3 key teams that really define our front walls, your DTMGs of the world, your SAWs, your BKMs, whatever you think isn't just a regular, GL versus GL rote counter. pay extra close attention to your opponents and think about how you can exploit that, because that's exactly what I did to my opponent here in round 3, and I spent a lot of time cooking on this board. But it was exactly what needed to be done, because not only did he stick to his script perfectly, but every one of the traps that I set got something. Either got a hold or got some banners on him. And when I say, so there's two things. The scouting thing is the intel about how they prefer to attack is so key for week 3. And then the other part is your front wall needs to be not about super hard teams. What it is these need to be your lowest B teams, really. These need to be the purely optional tier of teams going on the bottom front wall. Because in this meta, you already know what you've got assigned for every GL that your opponent's likely to set. You know, you're thinking about you'll pick between your 2 and 3 counters for how you want to deal with their Zori when you get there. With their Qui-Gon when you get there. With their Trench when you get there. But guess what? If all those teams are lining the front wall, you have to make that choice up front. And God forbid you cost yourself something that you need even halfway to clearing the back or the top. So it's really about B teams on the bottom front. Like, it's a complete change from a lot of us. We've all been trying to go either heavy or we're trying to go kind of tricky and use our strong B cams and hope that we catch you out. You know, any of this, the normal subterfuge that we're employing on the bottom front wall, people are just prepared to overwhelm it. The first 2 weeks have proven that. So being willing to set your B teams out front and offering your opponent the opportunity to choose their destiny with how they want to approach your board, working their way from the bottom up, from your lowest teams up. Because if they are going to bleed a lot, they're going to bleed on that up front, where they have the least knowledge and they have the fewest options about how they want to go about those teams, not knowing what you have in the back. So that's the super takeaway. Like, that jumped right out to me. It's all about the B teams, bottom front, baby. All right, I don't know if you guys had anything you wanted to cap off on that, but we're rolling right around now to final thoughts. You know, this is it. Like I said before, so we've already covered our lessons learned. Anything else you guys think is worth throwing out, you know, as a bone to the viewers out there before we close out the video? Dagger, you first. Dagger. This is the part where you guys tell me my mic died.
No, he said, eh. He was thinking.
Oh, he's thinking. Okay, I didn't hear.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any wisdom I can impart that I didn't say in my takeaways.
Okay.
Just if you're into this efficiency meta, man, you must be loving life. And if you're not quite as into it, try and find ways to enjoy it if you're someone like me who's not a big fan of 3s. Because if you don't enjoy 5s, you don't enjoy 3s, what are you doing in this game mode, right?
I guess, and you know what I've told you, and I've told a lot of people here on YouTube and elsewhere, is it's like, this is the if you're about doing GAC, if you're here for the crystals, if you're here for the 1v1 PvP, if you like the fun of it, whatever. If there's something you don't like about the meta, so what? Nobody asked you. You've got to adapt to it. The sun rises in the east every morning, so if it's coming up and it's looking like an efficiency meta, that's your morning. And if you either roll with it or you grumble as the sun passes you by. Well, and we're all working on that. We're all working on it.
And I will take solace in the fact that you say that you're strongest week 3 and will still somehow go 1 and 2.
Yes, absolutely. I went 3-0 week 1. I went 2-1 week 2. Why not cap off the season with a 1-2 week? There's a poetry, a symmetry. I see where you're going with it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I appreciate you. It's not a bad thought. I mean, you know, there's a lot of people who don't like efficiency meta, and you don't get to experiment much. You have these new powers granted through our datacrons, and you there's such a consequence to trying something new. So I sympathize with your position there.
Oh no, I'm just saying, like, if you're in my position, just find ways to enjoy GAC because you need the crystals anyways.
Amen to that. Rewards are where it's at, people. All right, appreciate you, Dagger. TJ, your final thought for the people. What's the gem?
Yeah, I think especially for this weekend, the stuff is dying off. Just figure out how uncomfortable you're willing to make yourself. Because I think to Tass's point, everybody's in a world of complacency. So if you can come out of that and do some uncomfortable things that may trip somebody up, that may get you because it's going to be. I think as we all have noticed, one drop is detrimental to the whole fight. You basically drop once and it immediately feels like, well, there goes my match. And as Dagger said, that Dagger didn't drop, his opponent dropped, so he tried stuff. So if you can make yourself even the least, or even just the least amount uncomfortable, but that puts them into a worse spot to where they're going to do something that's going to be drastic or cause something drastic, it might be the time to get risky to try it out because there's no other data to go off of. There's no other week to look at. So you get to really try things and flip things around that can really throw people off strategically.
Okay. All right. Appreciate the insight there. Sasha, your final thought for the people.
Yeah, these two guys maybe.
Oh, you broke up on us there. Oh, you're coming back.
Coverage is a little limited here. All right, sorry, it's a little limited task.
Looks like Sasha got stowed in a broom closet somewhere. Oh, I believe that you'll find your way out, Sasha.
I believe he had that personal engagement he had to take care of, so I'm sure that's the time.
Oh, if he had to actually drop off, that's okay.
No, I will just say that for all of us who deal with you. Sorry, it looks like Sasha's back. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
No. Okay, maybe not. I thought I saw him light up.
Say what you're going to say.
For all of us who time to time get told by you that we're potatoing out or that our reception sucks, fuck you.
Mm-hmm.
On behalf of Sasha. And all the other people who you belittle.
Sasha, you back with us yet? You made the connections? Bridged the gap? Ooh, it's still gruesome out there. All right, well, Sasha, if you can hear me, I'll go ahead and cover my final thought, and then we'll circle back to you and see if we can't rope you in at the end. To TJ's point, putting yourself out of your comfort zone. I like that idea because that's what I did in round 3. I've been having Rey and Jabba as my stalwarts on defense for GLs. And this last round, I mixed it up by having Rey down, but then also hidden, secretly tucked in the back, was Slacker and Jabba. So I picked, not Slacker and Jabba, Slacker and Lord Vader. So I picked up Jabba. Jabba had been down every other round this season, and he's still powerful on offense. By setting Lord Vader and Slacker, they're both teams with down on them. So there's a better than even chance that we're going to be able to strip a banner or two, even if you do one shot it, which you fully expect your opponents to do. So I just want to highlight that distinction between putting yourself at discomfort by setting things that can be powerful on offense, taking them off defense if you've been leaving them there, and pivoting them to offense for high banners. But don't do that if you feel that you're actually putting yourself at risk. Like, don't put yourself at risk where you feel like, oh, geez, I don't know if this is going to work, or if it does work, it might work for 61, 62. Nah, don't be doing that. That's not what we're at. That's not what we're going to make it. You're not going to make it doing that out here, doing that. So be willing to pivot because folks that will be willing to scout your week 2 are going to see your defensive profile. And if you don't mix it up, they're going to march right on through. Okay, Sasha, you there? Did we recover you? Buddy?
Can I also add, please go have fun with your Banes.
Oh God!
Whatever he's going to do, please go have fun with your Banes.
Do anything. This is
the most fun you will ever. I think we can all agree. Out of all 7 years, Bane has been the most fun I've had in this game. To see what it can accomplish, it is by far the most fun in this game that I think you can do. Go have fun with your Banes.
He is straight up hilarious. No lies.
It kills literally everything. Go have fun. See what it can do.
Straight up hilarious. No lies. It's true. Okay, well, it looks like we might have lost Sasha there. I know. Oh, I see your mic lighting up there, Sasha. You there?
Yeah, no, it comes and goes, Task, but I think we've covered everything. Thanks for your patience. I think we're good, man.
Okay, all right. You didn't have a final word you wanted to throw in? Because we circled back to you there. We got the time. You're the last word.
You guys really touched on the main principles I was going to cover. So
Okay.
nothing that's additive. Thanks.
No worries. Well, hey guys, as always, thank all three of you for making the time out of your busy work and family schedules to make our show. We'll go ahead and wrap it up here. Everybody that's watching this out on YouTube, you can catch me live on Twitch at twitch.tv/Tassinix. I do make the best effort I can to stream all 3 rounds a week. My schedule's a little erratic with where I get to start, but if you really want to know and you want to be in sync, you'll have to jump on my Discord because I will announce when I go live there. If you're watching this show here on YouTube, then you already know about my YouTube channel. Please do. Subscribe and like all the videos you watch. I appreciate it. The engagement means a lot. I really enjoy reading and responding to your comments. So give me all of that. Let's see. Otherwise on YouTube, I do upload my VODs from Twitch with chapters added for easy browsing there. This podcast is released on YouTube, not only just as this video file, but it's also repeated out as a podcast on SoundCloud, Google Podcasts, and I'm working on Apple, but it's a real pain. Coming soon, to ears near you. Let's see. Of course, for all of our general YouTube subscriber base, this video will be available on Friday. And for all of my patrons, this video should be available tomorrow, which is Tuesday. So you'll be able to take that advanced intel into week 3 here. And, just pivoting right on off that, let's go and plug shamelessly for the Patreon. Oops, that's the wrong button. We'll click this one first. Check out patreon.com/Tassinix. There is something there of interest to any upwardly mobile GAC streamer, whether it's getting your foot in the door for $5 a month to get that early access to my YouTube content, join the dedicated Discord channels, hang out in voice, and just be in touch on a daily basis. Everybody knows I'm lurking in my Patreon Discord daily, most hours of most days. So you'll know where to find me, let me tell you. Otherwise, if you want to up your game with enhanced intelligence, there's a $10 and a $15 bundle, respectively, that give you access to OmegaBot and HotBot, which help in your GAC preparations and your scouting. All right, let's check out the patrons themselves and thank these fine people who make all of this possible. Starting from the bottom here at VIP Access, huge shout out goes to White Wolf, Sam Vimes, Jobin4527, Stark Strategy Gamer, Renee Bebe, Deadpool Cow 28, Johnny B. Ottawa, JJ's Productions Twitch, Sweens14, Darth QPPMG, Rays Malbus, and Brock Thudsteel. At VIP Access Plus, Trevor Boy Gaming and Striker, thank you both for stepping up into that OmegaBot bundle. VIP Access Premium, thanks goes out to Quig and Sir Boss, both patrons here for a little while, upgraded to the new VIP Access Premium. Take advantage of both the OmegaBot and HotBot patron bundle. Thank you guys so much for the support. And of course, at the top of the heap, there can be no substitute for Nomad's Reaper at Jester's Club Elite. This man has been crushing it for me for a long time, but specifically this season. 3 hype trains that really are just outstanding, including breaking the record twice, just this season alone. I want to say a 17 and an 18 respectively. Your support is overwhelming, greatly appreciated. Thanks so much, man. All right, and last but never least, our special thanks. First to Yoda Force. He's long since quit the game, but he bought me the mic I'm speaking to you on, was one of the early supporters way back in the Dizzy. Thank you so much, man, and good luck to you on the other side. To Mrs. T, my wife, thank you for all the back-end support, especially with keeping our daughter busy because she's obsessed with forcing me to write her name dozens, if not hundreds of times a day. And providing me a brief respite to do GAC-related things is sorely appreciated. Thank you so much. To Dagger, TJ, and Sashisha, last but never least, my co-hosts here on Plotting and Scheming, couldn't do it without you guys. I'm delighted with what we're doing here. Your perspectives are invaluable, and I think we make an excellent quality show. It wouldn't be the same, wouldn't even be worth making without the 3 of you, so thank you so much. And, Dagger, also a bonus note for him. He is an admin on my Discord, helps a lot out with community questions. Really appreciate the added time and effort. All right, guys, moving back on over here. I'll see you guys Wednesday night, hopefully about, I think somewhere between 8:30 and 9 p.m. Eastern. We just had the time change here in the U.S., so I'll try and get started between there. But
quick admin note.
Oh, go
Breaking
ahead.
news. Ash Sotnickum is a brand new Patreon subscriber.
Oh yes, he was just DMing me. I gotta sign him up. I had a couple things I gotta iron out with him, but he and I were just talking about it today. Esh Sonnaticam, welcome to the Taz House, man. I'll be talking with you here real shortly, just as soon as I'm done finishing up this video. But we got to get your stuff set up. But anyways, guys, I'll catch you here Wednesday night next week, and until then, as always, it's been real, it's been awesome, it's been real awesome. Take care.